from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Sunday, March 27th. So today the moon is in Aquarius all day. And of course, the moon in Aquarius provides us with a little bit of emotional attachment. Why? So that we can act as the observer. We can see the bigger, broader perspective. We can really open our minds up without our hearts influencing the new aha moments, the new ideas, the new inspirations that are currently being downloaded within us in order for us to start to pursue. This Aquarian energy is very futuristically focused. We are definitely in a very strange adjustment period. Yes, we are in a brand new calendar. Yes, we are in Aries season, but the new moon in Aries on the 1st is really what kicks this fresh energy off. So we're still struggling to find clarity. We're still trying to make sense of all the very, very intense ups and downs that we've just been through. And this week, kinda is an opportunity for us to kind of get a little bit grounded, for us to sort through the old, prepare for the new, and really firm ourselves, ground ourselves in this present moment. So we do have a little bit more work to kind of sort through before we are going to see the blaze of glory of this new calendar, this new path, this new energy actually manifest. Today, we have Mercury moving out of Pisces and moving into Aries. This is definitely going to help with the mental plane. It's definitely going to help put the pieces together, have us gain some perspective, gain some clarity. I am going to recommend that you go listen to that astro forecast that I put out because I did get a little bit more time to jump into what we can expect with Mercury now in Aries. So we have 10 different aspects taking place here today. 5 of them involve the moon. Interesting, right? So we have half moon energy. We have half other planetary movements. Now, this is going to be interesting for a couple of reasons. First of all, there's going to be a buzz this week. We are in a fire season. Things are picking up very quickly. Things are happening very fast. Right out of the gate, we have the sun semi-squaring Saturn. So the sun in Aries just wanting to push forward, wanting to start off fresh, wanting to be bold, wanting to be brave, wanting to take the leadership role in making things happen, is bumping into Saturn, the Lord of Karma, who is very focused on building strong enough, firm enough, really encouraging enough foundations for us in the future. So Saturn is focused on the roles and responsibilities that we have in life. He is also focused on what is that isn't working and hasn't been working in our lives. He's focused on what it is that we want to see our realities become. And of course, focus on what we need to build, what we have control over, what it is that we need to build within ourselves, within our physical realm, in the here and now, in order to actually bring that vision, bring that dream, bring that reality into our physical manifestation, into this physical realm. But here's the thing. This Aries energy wants everything to happen yesterday, okay? And has a tendency to act without thinking, which only creates more drama, more of a mess, more elements to clean up before we can actually get down to the nitty-gritty of the foundation that Saturn, of course, wants us to be focused on, wants us to boss up, mature, take one step at a time. And of course, that goes against the whole Aries vibe. So what we're recognizing with this little tension, with this little conflict, is where it is that the ants in our pants have to slow down, where it is that we have to dig deep and find enough patience in order to find a new self-will, a self-determination to, yes, want to move forward, to, yes, want to take control and see action and see change, but to do it in a methodical way so that we're not having to do things twice. We're not having to come back and clean up the mess that we made because we acted first and didn't think thoroughly about the consequences, about, the results that we are getting if we don't take the time to act strategically and to move in a calculated fashion. So there's a little bit of friction here. We are being called to kind of boss up, to grow up, to mature in a way that, of course, yes, we want to just act on our passions, act on our desires, act on these new inspirations that we have, but do it in a way that will last. Do it in a way that you can be proud of. Do it in a way that, yes, might take a lot longer, might require a lot more blood, sweat, and tears. But guess what? Aries season is here to teach us energy management. I've been preaching about energy management, preaching about where it is that we tend to burn ourselves out long before we ever see the results of our wants, needs, and desires actually be able to manifest. This is a test on our maturity, on whether or not we've learned anything from the past situations and experiences that we jumped into willy-nilly because we were all fired up, all passionate, and we didn't think things through. And we actually wasted our time, wasted our energy because we didn't even begin to see the fruits of our labor, the rewards for the blood, sweat, and tears because we burnt ourselves out far too quickly. Again, we're in the year of 2022. This is a year of building. We have to be a little bit more conscientious with the steps that we take, with the energy that we're putting forth to make sure that we're doing it right the first time. So Venus goes ahead and bumps into Jupiter. Venus, of course, the goddess of love and beauty and worth and pleasure and joy and happiness. She is an Aquarius, not her most favorable energy. She is very cold, very distant, very isolated. Of course, Venus's natural disposition wants to be close, wants to have that connection, wants to be in love, wants to have intimacy, wants to feel love and encouragement and support. But in this Aquarian energy, she's off dancing to the beat of her own drum. She's trying to be a little bit more independent. She's trying to detach emotionally in order for her to figure out what it is that she actually wants, needs, and desires moving forward. Jupiter, on the other hand, is about growth, is about expansion, really showing us, the blessings, the abundance, the possibilities of the future. He's in Piscean energy, which means that we are really going through some tough love life situations that are showing us where it is that we need to lean more into our spiritual practice, our spiritual understanding, recognize that these lessons are divinely scripted for our spiritual growth. So Venus bumping into Jupiter in this way is a really triggering event and may actually manifest from a personal relationship in your life, may happen in your external realm, showing you where it is that, this is a tough situation here. Why? Because I'm literally having to grow through the pain and the suffering in order to actually find love. First of all, the love within myself. Second of all, the love that I want to share with the people in my life. This event, being a trigger, being an activation, is likely going to be very overwhelming. Jupiter, of course, turns the volume all the way up on what it is that we want, need, and desire, what it is that we're currently thinking and feeling in these activating moments. And Venus, of course, being off doing her own thing, disconnected from the personal relationships that she truly wants intimacy and connection with. This is a painful thing. We don't know how to be raw and vulnerable enough to actually declare from the people in our lives what it is that we're lacking from them because we're afraid that they're not going to be able to step up to the plate and actually meet us halfway. Therefore, we make up all kinds of excuses. We push ourselves further and further away from the people that we actually desire to be close to. And in that action, in that energy, we're actually fragmenting our own heart, our own soul, our own emotional wants, needs, and desires. Because, of course, we're not standing firm in our truth, in our power to declare what it is that we know we want, we need, we deserve. Mercury at this point in time, 3:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, will move out of this Piscean energy, move into this Aries energy. Again, please go check out the astro forecast that I put out for this particular event. It'll definitely give you the ups and downs, the pros and cons, the light, the dark aspects of Mercury being in this energy. We have the moon semi-squaring Jupiter and riding off the coattails of the earlier aspects of really kind of being overwhelmed with where it is that we're going through painful experiences and where it is that we need to boss up and take emotional control over ourselves in order to declare what it is that we want, need, and desire from ourselves and from other people in our lives. The moon bumping into Jupiter in this way is really going to exasperate where it is that we want more from life, more from ourselves, more happiness, more joy, more connection, more intimacy. We want more from the people that we're sharing life with. And all this more is kind of putting us in a little bit of an extra type of mood. We're hella dramatic. We are definitely feeling overwhelmed with the thoughts, with the feelings, with the desires, with the passions that we have, but we're also feeling super disconnected. Because, of course, Venus, she's off in La La Land in Aquarian energy. The moon is in Aquarian energy, which means that there is a disconnect. We're living in our heads. We're very consumed with the futuristic idea of what it is that we want to be living instead of dealing with the here and now. Because the here and now is too overwhelming, too painful, too very clear on what it is that we're lacking. And many of us get stuck in the scarcity, in that lacking type of mindset. And that can be overwhelming all in itself. It can put us in a funk. It can make us feel like we're never going to get out of it. What we're kind of focused on right now is we want results. We're tired of waiting. We're getting impatient. We want to literally see that things are going to change, because up until now, our circumstances have dictated that nope, nothing's going to change. This is it. Doesn't feel good. But our heart, our soul, our spirit, our intuition has been telling us to just hold on, to focus on the possibilities, to hold the dream and the vision true. And we will see a magical shift in our circumstances. But right now we're obsessed with it. We're obsessed to the point where we could actually just change our whole vibe to a negative Nancy, a Debbie Downer type of vibe altogether, because we're stuck in what it is that we don't have, instead of trusting that what it is that we want, what we need, what we desire is obtainable, as long as we're willing to do the work within ourselves, in our emotions, in our thought space, in our soul work, in our shadow work, in our physical realms, to align with the vision and the dream that we want so freaking badly. The moon goes ahead and sextiles the sun. This is always a very clear indication on the old parts of our thoughts, of our feelings, of our unconscious selves that need to be detached from in order to actually embrace the possibilities, the beauty, the magic of the future. Now, the moon in Aquarius, again, very emotionally detached so that we can act as the observer to look at what it is that we want, need, and desire in a futuristic realm, so that the sun that rules over our ego identity, rules over our will, our determination, and the actions that we have to take in the now in Aries, which just wants to move forward, which just wants to be bold and brave enough to take action and move forward. This is going to be a true illumination on what it is that we actually have control over within ourselves. We got to get our attitude right. We got to get our perspective right. We got to get our focus right. We got to build ourselves up in our inner realm first before we can go ahead and actually do anything to manipulate our physical realm to align with the new emotions, the new desires, the new thoughts that we're having about what it is that we actually want to bring to life in a futuristic realm. So we also have a pretty divinely scripted event here. We have Neptune sextiling with the true node. Neptune is in its power in Pisces energy, ruling over our intuition, our soul, our spirit, our dreams, our creativity, ruling over karma, ruling over soul contracts. Bumping into the true node, who of course is our soul destiny point, where it is that we are intending to be, to evolve our spirit, our soul to its highest potential. These two particular aspects sextile. This is a blending of energies. This is like we're taking one huge step forward. What are we taking one huge step forward in? Our spiritual growth, our soul growth. We are being triggered. We are being activated at this particular time to understand that everything that we are going through and have gone through was divinely scripted for us to stand in our truest power, to stand in an energy of vibration and frequency that is pushing us to our highest soul's growth, our highest soul's potential. This is an opportunity to boss up. We've had some very hard situations thrown at us, ones that will never make sense to our egoic mind. But when we are in power with our higher selves, with our intuition, when we have that bond, that relationship to the higher intelligence that rules over this earthly plane, we gain perspective. We renew ourselves in our faith and our hope. We recognize that anything is possible. Because what makes things not possible is the egoic mental plane that tells us that we are just physical forms. We are just victims of our physical circumstances, that bad things happen to us because we are undeserving to be punished. That is what the ego will tell us. That's why it's so important to gain control over your ego and let your intuition, your higher self lead, so that we can keep the egoic narrative in check and orient it to the possibilities, to the magic, to the absolute true divine energy that rules over this materialistic realm that many of us struggle to actually align with. This, again, is a very powerful aspect that will be changing the course of how it is that we think, how it is that we feel, how it is that we push ourselves more into understanding the spiritual lessons at play, the karmic relationships at play, the divinely scripted events at play in order to push us into our truest power to see our soul evolve to the highest form of its potential here in this physical realm. The sun goes ahead and sextiles Chiron. This is a beautiful, beautiful aspect, especially following the fact that the moon right after Neptune bumps into the true node, the moon bumps into Neptune. And the moon bumping into Neptune is going to definitely show us where it is that we do have to push ourselves out of the egoic form in order to align with our higher selves. And then the moon bumps into Chiron, showing us where it is that we can have these spiritual aha moments that shift the perception and the reality of our egoic earthly realm experiences. This has the potential to heal some very deep emotional and psychological wounds that we have 100%, maybe unconsciously, but more so consciously, aligned with that narrative, the pain story in our lives, because Chiron, of course, is the wounded healer, showing us where it is that the pain and the trauma and the suffering has become so intertwined in our egoic identity that we wouldn't know who we would be without it. And when we align with the higher truth that this, this earthly realm is for our spirit, our soul to kind of work out lessons and topics and themes and soul contracts and all that gravy that we can't work out in other realms, this is when we have a profound understanding of our past, of our present moment that will totally change the course in the actions that we are willing to take in order to manifest our future. The moon does square Uranus though, and let me just say that, again, classically speaking, you'll always hear me say this every single time we take a huge leap forward, those darker force energies are going to try to pull us back. The moon in Aquarius, Aquarian energy is ruled over by Uranus. So anytime this energy is going to bump into its ruler, you best believe this is a direct opposition, a direct conflict, an inner war, if you will. A square is always a tension point, always a conflicting point in our lives in order to put our back against the wall, because that is the only time that many of us will ever embrace change. But here's the thing. We just had all of these spiritual epiphanies. We all just had these, shifts in our perception, in our understanding. We just healed huge parts of our psychological stance, our emotional stance. We just had these beautiful aha moments. And what happens? Now the ego wants to drag us back into the hell construct that is this earthly realm. The moon goes ahead and squares Uranus, and this can create a huge amount of chaos in our mental plane, in our emotions. Why? Because now we're trying to talk fear into the love that we just embodied. We're trying to talk the darkness into the light that just got shone on a different perspective of our current understanding. The moon squaring Uranus in this way is a disruption. It's an explosive, overwhelming, unpredictable emotional surge in our bodies because our higher selves just align to our higher truth, to a higher understanding that is divinely scripted in our DNA to align with. And just as we activate those strands, that ego pulls us back. This is going to make us a little bit cray-cray. This is going to push us to even detach even further from our physical realms than we were previous. And it is going to talk all kinds of nonsense into the lovely understanding that we just had for ourselves. This is going to get tense. And to wrap things up for the day, Mercury, who is just fresh in this Aryan energy, makes its very first aspect. What is it doing? It is semi-squaring with Mars. Mars rules over Aries energy. So we have ruler of the mental plane, Mercury. We have the god of war ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our will, our passion, even our anger, Mars. Mars is in Aquarius energy. He is out there. He is sporadic. He is unpredictable. Mercury bumping into Mars in this way is going to create a cluster F in our mental plane. And if we're not careful, we will act on the cluster F of chaos that's going on inside us. And we are going to cause an absolute shit show of a mess for ourselves to clean up later. This is going to amplify the intense thoughts, the intense emotions, the intense passions and desires that we have. This is going to illuminate where it is that we are hella impatient, where it is that, yes, we're thinking a lot quicker, we're thinking a lot more aggressive than we would. That's Mercury, really flexing its power in Aries energy, but it's going to lead to a lot of frustration because, again, we're not moving fast enough. We can't manifest our realities fast enough. We want change so freaking badly, but we don't seem to be manifesting that change in our physical circumstances fast enough. We're having all of these quick ideas, but we are hella nervous about it. Why? Because our central nervous system is on focus, is on blast. The moon is in Aquarius. We had a run-in with Uranus that rules over Aquarian energy. We are having a shock to the system. We may be snappy in our mental plane with ourselves. We may be snappy in our communications. We're definitely lacking the patience and understanding that we had earlier on in the day. This can manifest in some communication breakdowns and even some dramatic confrontations in our personal relationships. And at the end of the day, we are no longer interested in listening to either our higher self or our ego or anyone else. This is full on detachment, disassociation, check out, let me go to bed, let's sleep on it, because tomorrow is a brand new day.